Hallo, hier ist Michael Adams für Stock-Telegraph und ich bin ja zurück von der PDAC und was ich dort gesucht hatte unter anderem war eigentlich ein Lithium-Deal, mit dem ich mich identifizieren kann. Ich bin bei Lithium so ein bisschen skeptisch. Ja. Es gibt halt sehr, sehr viele Unternehmen, die jetzt da neu auf den Markt kommen. Es ist so ein bisschen, wir hatten schon mal einen Lithium-Hype, glaube ich, so ungefähr 3, 4 Jahre zuvor. Ja, und das ist jetzt so ein bisschen Lithium 2.0. Und ja, ich möchte aber jetzt nicht in diese gehypten Companies, möchte ich Ihnen nicht vorstellen, sondern ich möchte halt so, ich sag mal, den Real Deal finden. Ja, und ja, da habe ich halt mit mehreren Leuten auf der PDAC gesprochen und also auch mit ein paar institutionellen Anlegern. Und die haben mir gesagt, ja, sie finden diese ganzen Lithium-Deals, die jetzt an den Markt kommen, super zum Traden. Ja, weil die halt eine hohe Liquidität, eine hohe Volatilität haben. Aber wenn Sie langfristig investieren im Lithium-Bereich, hätten Sie was anderes auf der Agenda. Und unter anderem hat man mir gesagt, ich soll doch mit International Lithium sprechen. Und das habe ich auch versucht. Ja. Der Gary Schellenberg, den wollte ich auf der PDAC treffen, aber entweder hat er nicht gekonnt oder ich nicht gekonnt. Ich habe also gehört, er war sehr, sehr busy. Und ja, deswegen freue ich mich umso mehr, dass er jetzt die Zeit hat, mit mir zu sprechen. Insbesondere, weil die Company heute auch noch sehr, sehr gute News rausgegeben hat, über die wir natürlich dann auch nochmal diskutieren können. Viel Spaß dabei. Okay, Gary, so thanks for taking the time to talk to me. As I said in my introduction, yeah, I tried to meet up with you at PDAC, didn't work out, but it's probably a good coincidence because today you came out with a really good news release. But before we talk about this, can you give us some background and paint a picture on Gary Schellenberg? What is he doing? What's his background?
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks, Michael, for having me. I used to be a geologist, I tell people, but my trade was as a geologist. I've been running my own company since 1987. We've had a number of successes. I view myself no longer as a geologist, but more like an entrepreneur, looking for opportunities within the mining sector, looking at commodities before looking for projects in commodities that are maybe not the flavor of the month today, but in the future will pay off. And very similar, we looked at diamonds very early on in the early 90s before diamonds were popular. We got involved in oil and gas again in the early 90s when it was $10 a barrel. And again, very successful. Looked at gold in the 97s after the crash. We acquired a huge portfolio in Argentina. So again, looking at opportunities when everybody else isn't. We did exactly the same thing with lithium. We started looking for lithium projects back in 2008. We started assembling a team, putting it together, and then in 2012. A combination of all our work in our parent company, TNR Gold, we were able to actually spin off International Lithium in 2012 and have it financed. So again, paint the picture of myself, again, used to be a geologist, now an entrepreneur, financier of good mining opportunities, and would like to think, a bit ahead of the game as opposed to being following the tail of the dog, so to speak.
Which is always a good thing to do in the resource market. And this is actually what attracted me to the company when I did my small, quick due diligence, is that you're not around for just a couple of months. Yeah, you're around for years already in the lithium business. I was especially pleased to see your shareholder base. Yeah, like I think 58 or 50-something% is owned by management insiders, right, and close associates.
That's right.
And the market cap is still, correct me if I'm wrong, but below 10 million Canadian. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we financed in 2012, and that was our only financing just until recently. We just closed last week a small financing. Right. That was only our second financing, and so realistically, we've been financed all the way along through our strategic partner, Ganfeng Lithium. So there was really no need for financing. I must admit, to our discredit, we haven't really been out or the need to really actually promote our story because we have essentially our financed, our major company financing us. And now we see their opportunity now in lithium. There's new opportunities arising, and that's why we did a little financing. We see an opportunity to start to consolidate the industry a little bit, and really take advantage of the new interest in lithium, and that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, yeah, and what I'm really pleased at is that you're not only playing the Tesla card, right? Like if you look at, I wouldn't say all, but most of the other majors, of the other junior exploration companies in the lithium space, everybody is kind of just playing the Tesla card, right? But you, on the other hand, as you quickly mentioned, yeah, you already have a strong partner, which is Ganfeng, right? And we can talk about them later on. But for now, and because you just issued a news release today, yeah, just give us some more insight on today's news release, which I will, of course, link below this video.
Sure, thanks. Well, one of our concepts is, as I did briefly touch, we do have a partner on two of our major projects, both in Ireland and in Argentina, which we'll touch on a bit later. But we've had a concept here. We're looking for a North American source of lithium, and as batteries and electric cars become more and more prominent, all of the major automakers, North American automakers, are essentially, at our doorstep, including Tesla, which I wouldn't classify as a major at this point. No. So we've been looking at where can we find an economic North American source. We picked, we've been through Nevada in the early stages in 2009, 2010. We've had a look there. We think that a viable source would be in hard rock, in the pegmatite. So we started looking at what is really required to make something economic. Well, you need high-grade lithium within a rock. You need also logistics. You need to be very close to power, roads. Again, lithium is not like a rare element. It's found everywhere. It is more like an industrial mineral, if you want to look at it that way. So logistics, play a huge thing into the economics. A factor in the economics. So we started looking around, where can we find high-grade projects? Well, we had a very nice high-grade lithium project called Mavis Lake. It had some of the highest grade values around. We had 20 some odd meters of better than 2% lithium oxide, and it had multiple occurrences of pegmatites, and it was right almost downtown Dryden in Ontario. We started, well, how could we complement that? Can we start putting together a number of these pegmatite fields within, say, a 200-300 kilometer radius? So that's when our concept of the Upper Canada project really kind of came to play. And to feed into that, we were looking for new assets, and the news release today is the first of our new acquisitions. And we found this primarily through our research. And again, it's another high-grade pegmatite field right along a major highway, which is only 60 kilometers away from our Mavis Lake project. Again, very key. It was drilled back in 2010. It was originally found as a tantalum project, and the tantalum values here are extremely high, approaching 0.1%. One of the richest tantalum mines, I would say almost in the world, is the Tanco, the Bernick Lake project, which is about 0.2. But the average grade for tantalum being mined today is 0.02. 0.03% tantalum. So that's kind of the key that got us into this area here. We looked at it was a tantalum project first, and then totally ignored the lithium. And the lithium grades are spectacular. You're getting over 2% lithium oxide as well, up to 10 meters or better. It's near surface, flat lying, and again multiple occurrences and stack bodies. So again, fit in very, very well with our concept. It's a little earlier stage than Mavis Lake, but again, our concept is let's start packaging these opportunities together that are logistically viable, and with the ultimate goal of feeding in a central processing facility where you can take lithium or spodumene concentrate, which is the lithium bearing rock, but concentrated, feed it into a centrally located processing facility where you can actually produce lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide, and even the fact that these two projects are very close together, Mavis and our Raleigh Lake project, is that you can actually have probably a central milling facility if in fact the ores were compatible. So again, we find this a key move forward in our Upper Canada project. I think we have the distinct advantage over our competitors in that, number one, we have logistics. We have, our capex on these projects is going to be considerably less than some of our Canadian competitors, and the fact that the closeology and we have the ability to actually feed a centrally located plant.
Okay. No, that sounds really good. And can you give us some information about the parameters of the deal? Like, what did you have to pay, or what other commitments are involved?
There's actually no commitments. Again, as I mentioned earlier, is that we actually staked a good portion of this land. Oh. We purchased a one core piece from an individual prospector, and the acquisition cost total were probably less than $10,000. But what's significant is that there was several millions of dollars spent on 3 exploration campaigns here done by previous owners, and again, not primarily for lithium, but now recently with the lithium and what we see at Mavis Lake is that this is a perfect fit, and with the high grade, I think it was definitely a real coup on our part to pick this up.
And did you get also all this historic drilling or historic results? Do you have access to that?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the historic drilling is all a matter of public record, and that's what we quoted in our news release. Again, these are stacked pegmatites. Again, just scanning through here the numbers. You're getting 9 meters at 2.8% lithium oxide. The average mine out there for lithium oxide in a pegmatite is a little over 1%. So that's kind of your benchmark. Also, and again, I mentioned there is tantalum as well involved here. So again, tantalum will be a significant influence on the economics of this potential project.
Okay, and when I take a look at the other projects, and you already mentioned your partner Ganfeng, is your general model to kind of develop the project, this new project, to a stage, and then also do a joint venture with a bigger company?
Yeah, our goal has always been, we're a project generation group, and so we generate the projects. We bring in other partners to essentially fund the exploration and development. What our key is here is to essentially keep a small working interest, and especially in our Upper Canada project, is keep an offtake agreement, and that's going to be key. So then we can actually have the rights to any of the spodumene concentrate being produced from these sites, so it could feed a centrally located plant. Our goal has always been, as we brought in Ganfeng to develop our Mariana project in Argentina. It's a very large project. They're spending this year a little over $3 million on the project. They've spent to date on the project a little over $6 million. We've also brought them in on our Ireland project. Again, it's a hard rock project in Ireland, and called the Avalonia. They've committed to spend $10 million there. At the end of the day, we'll wind up with a 20% interest in our Mariana project in Argentina. We'll wind up with a 24% interest in our Ireland project. But the key is that at the end of the day, we've hooked up with a producer, and that's what we hope to do at the end of the day with our Upper Canada project.
Okay, yeah, and as you mentioned, you're following, and that seems to be quite unique. You're following a prospect generator model, but specialized on the lithium niche, right? And while there's a lot of other project generators, they are, to my best knowledge, they're more broader. Their setup is broader, and while the market sometimes doesn't give the prospect generator model the same valuation as other plays, I have to admit I really like this model, because you have a lower risk, you are diversified, and you don't need, and you kind of proved that, you don't need to dilute your shareholders all the time when you need to do something. Still you have some upside on the projects, because as you said, you're always keeping some stage, right? So is that on my end or on your end?
Oh, it's stopped now. No problem.
Okay, no worries. Probably somebody, a shareholder, who wants to ask you about the news release today. So
Exactly. Yeah.
No worries. Okay, so you briefly talked about the three other projects which you have, and that's in Argentina you have the Mariana, in Canada you have the Mavis Lake, and in Ireland you have the Avalonia project, and two of them are in pegmatite, which I call hard rock. Is that the same, pegmatite and hard rock?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes it easier for me. And the one in Argentina is in brine. So what do you like better?
They're totally different uses. I like the brine, but being a geologist, I do like the pegmatite, and the fact that you can actually hit it with a rock with a rock hammer, and it doesn't go, it still goes stud, right? It's but it's really two different uses. The pegmatites are you can actually produce a more of a specialty lithium product at the end of the day. Gangfeng, it was interesting. They require for their operation both lithium from a brine as well as the spodumene concentrate, which they make a higher grade product from. So that was kind of our original goal, and our education once we hooked up with Gangfeng was what we learned a little bit more about what the uses are for, and now we're out to find more of these opportunities, and maybe not just for our existing partner, but create new opportunities and new partnerships along the way with other end product users. One of the things, Michael, is that we're probably one of the few junior companies that really have an end product user that physically is producing lithium hydroxide for the battery industry. They're one of the largest producers. I think the second largest. Producers of lithium hydroxide. They produce 38% of the lithium hydroxide used in the world. So it's pretty impressive group that we've tied in with. Also, the fact that, as also you mentioned, is that we haven't, our model has worked, and the fact that we haven't had a fund at all since our IPO is a statement to our success. And but we see opportunities again now in this marketplace, even although all the other juniors are jumping onto the bandwagon because it's popular. Yeah. We've been fortunate. We've had the experience. We've built the team around us. We see a number of opportunities that we can actually go into and actually start to consolidate this, and actually come out at the end of the day with hopefully the next North American source of lithium here to feed the car industry.
Okay, that's interesting, and please educate me a bit. So lithium seems not to be as easy as gold. If you drill for gold, you have gold, and whatever you do, it's still gold, right? But you mentioned a couple of different products which are all lithium, right? So I guess the investor has to understand that lithium is not equaling lithium all the time, but there's various, whatever it's called, right? So various things that are lithium.
Well, and again, I'm not going to claim to be a processing person, but I know it's sourcing the lithium, and people get caught up on grade and everything else, of their brines, or they get tied up on. And again, as the investor tries to educate themselves, and you only have 100 parts per million of lithium within your brine. That can't be very good because the guys over here have 600 or 800. Well, that's not really a factor. What plays into the main factor is can you extract that? Can you do it economically? And is there other deleterious elements and stuff like that are tied up with your brine that's going to increase your cost to produce at the end of the day a lithium carbonate or a lithium hydroxide from that brine? So that's why a lot of people are going and focused in on Nevada, because Nevada historically the only producing lithium producer in North America, the Clayton Valley, it has a very, very low grade lithium content within their brine. But what makes it nice is that there's very little other elements other than lithium, so it's a very, very clean operation. But what's happened in Nevada, and which is, it's going to be limited, in my opinion, it's going to be very, very limited on how much you can actually produce. The Clayton Valley operation, I think, had peaked out at 4,500 tons of lithium carbonate a year. Again, I believe that's because of the limited aquifer size and the recharge rates. So it's going to be very, so we didn't really see Nevada as a big opportunity, or any large scale producers. And that's why we looked outside of Nevada, looked at Argentina. We're actually looking at hard rock, which can actually be scaled up and actually produce not just 3 to 5 million tons of lithium carbonate a year. Now we can produce tens of thousands of tons. We're looking at Mariana, for example, producing say 15, an equivalent of 15,000 tons of lithium carbonate a year. Ideally, that's what we'd like to ramp up to.
Okay, Gary, we got interrupted by Skype. Thank you very much. So anyway, sometimes there's nothing you can do about this technology things, and we are relying on it, unfortunately. Actually, that's what lithium is used for, right? So you need it as a high-tech material. Anyway, so we talked about the projects, yeah, and I trust we can talk about each project for hours, right? And maybe we will do that later on in a longer video. But to sum up, can you give us some information about the other guys that are involved, the management team?
Yeah, we've been working on putting together our team of people. We have John Harrop, which is our vice president of exploration. John is a geochemist by trade, has been involved. He's been instrumental in our research into rare elements as well, and in particular lithium. Anthony Kovacs is our chief operating officer, is a geophysicist by trade, has also been involved in the lithium space with us over the course of the last 5 years. We have a number of people on our advisory board. Dr. Fred Breaks, who is a key person within the hard rock space and rare earth specialist here in Canada. So we have a really good operating team as well, and both in Argentina and in Ireland, and we prided ourselves on putting together a very good operational team based on both local and Canadian representatives. So we're quite pleased on with the group that we have. Also, the fact that we've kind of had a bit of an advantage being the first mover status. Essentially, we were in early in Argentina. We've been able to pick up the entire pegmatite belt in Ireland, called the Leinster Pegmatite Belt. It contains 295 square kilometers, and again, that was pretty much due to the research and stuff that our team has done. And again, we're able to move in very quickly and acquire those assets. And so, and then again, they were instrumental on putting together this Raleigh project of ours. Again, just doing some research, not essentially for lithium, but through all rare elements. And this came up, and it turned out, hey, listen, lithium, the values have been overlooked here, and are very, very high grade. So I think that's the key, is people. People create opportunity, and we're ready to take the company to the next step here now, and with a small financing, I think we'll be looking at probably doing a larger financing down the way as our new asset base starts to come together.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's actually my last couple of questions. That was the placement. Maybe can you give us kind of an overview what's the total cash situation is right now on the company? And you already mentioned, or maybe some outlook. Will there be additional acquisitions in this or the next year? So kind of in a nutshell, what are the plans or further plans for 2016? What are the catalysts for this year?
The catalysts, okay. Well, essentially, as far as the cash position goes, we'll have an operating cash, capital of a little under $1 million. This small financing was primarily done to essentially give us a bit of working capital, allowing us to essentially to acquire new acquisitions. We are looking at least 2, if not 3, new acquisitions. Ideally within this next year. Again, as far as our business model goes, we'd like to be able to find new partners for that. I did mention that, our Mavis Lake, for example, about 2 weeks ago, we announced that we've optioned that off to an Australian company.
Right, it's Pioneer Resources, correct?
That's right, Pioneer Resources, and again, very, very good partners, and we're looking to replicate that opportunity. This the small financing is going to allow us, number one, to get some investor awareness out there. We do need to get some investor awareness. Again, we've been in the closet, so to speak, as a lithium company because we didn't need to raise money, but we see opportunity now that with a bit more capital, we can bring some significant opportunities to our shareholders, and that's what we're looking to do. And as we see new opportunities, we'll probably do subsequent financings to take advantage of those opportunities. We are looking at, again, we're very active exploring and developing our Mariana and our Avalonia project with Ganfeng. We are going to embark on a drilling campaign on both projects very, very soon. So we can expect news to come from both projects. Our partner, Pioneer Metals, once they finish the due diligence period, they have expressed interest in being aggressive and looking at Mavis Lake and doing some more drilling and work there. And again, new opportunities. We do think with the interest that we're seeing in lithium that we'll have no problem bringing in partners for our Raleigh project as well as some of our new acquisitions that we're targeting. So I think there's going to be lots of news coming out for this company. It's going to allow, and with that news, we want to be able to get it out into the marketplace and really take advantage and be a leader in the lithium space. Again, I think we have the experience that we can do that. I think we can be the consolidator of a lot of the space. A lot of the newcomers will come and they'll go. We do know that these lithium projects do take a while to develop. And once the market goes, once it's no longer the flavor of the month, we'll still be here developing our lithium projects and for some time.
And even if it's not the favor of the month any longer, the world will still need lithium. So, and that's probably the point where you can, with your situation, you can go bargain hunting, right, for some of these projects. So again, to sum up from my end, I really, really like this approach of the company, the prospect generator model with a niche on the lithium space. I especially like this kind of mellow approach towards dilution. The management seems to be very aware of dilution, and this is probably also because they are big shareholders in the company, so they don't want to dilute themselves, I guess, which is always good for outside shareholders. And so I have a pretty good feeling. I recommend to my readers, to my audience, to take a look at the website, do their own due diligence. I will keep you posted on all the developments of the company, and I urge you, what I do for the Stock-Telegraph website or my blog is to put it on my watch list immediately, with today's stock price, which is, I don't know, probably around the 10-cent level. Is that right, Gary?
That's correct. Yeah.
So I put it, so just that I can book my price in. So my price for the Stock-Telegraph is 10 cents right now. And I'm looking forward to talk to you in more detail, hopefully with some other newsletter guys that want to join us. I know that some guys that I'm in contact with here in Germany, they already asked me if I can bring them online. And I said, no, not for the first time. It's my exclusive thing. But for the next time, next time I will bring some of those guys online, and then we can chat a little bit about more detail. For now, thank you very much for your time. I know it's a busy day for you because of the news release, and you have probably some other guys you need to talk to. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much, Michael.